Okay, I'm bringing the jury in. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, to the jury.
Good morning, you may be seated. Thank you for being timely. Who's the next witness?
Ed Woodrowski.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is a true so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Could you take your seat there for the dirt board? You have a seat. And then could you state your name for the record and spell your first and last name?
Edward Wardrowski, EDWARD, last name WAG, ROWSKI.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, how are you employed?
I am employed with the U.S. Secret Service,
How long have you been at the Secret Service?
just a couple weeks.
Now, prior to this current job, where did you work?
The Oakland County Sheriff's Office,
How long were you at the Sheriff's Office?
28 years.
Okay, in those 28 years, where did you work?
I started out in dispatch and went to corrections after that, the road patrol, and then eventually did computer crimes.
Okay. And tell me, when you say computer crimes, what does that mean?
Do anything that has to do with the computer, cell phones, forensic examinations of computers, DVR equipment, call detail records.
And how long were you in computer crimes?
10 years.
In your time in computer crimes, did you receive specialized training with forensic analysis of electronic devices?
Yes, sir.
May I approach the witness?
Sure.
This is exhibit 422. Sir, just confirm for us if that's your CV.
Smith, do you object to its admission?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No objection to his admission and also no
Proceed.
objection to his qualifications.
CV, so you would stipulate to his qualifications, you would stipulate he's an expert in forensic examination of computers.
Yes, yes, sir.
Forensic,
Cellular cell phone forensics, historical cell site analysis.
Yes, the defense stipulates to both of those, the CV and that he's qualified as an expert.
historic, say it again, please.
Cell site analysis and cell phone forensics.
Historic cell site and cell phone, okay. You may consider him as an expert in the area of historic cell site analysis and cell phone analysis. So, yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. Well, sir, now we don't have to go through the entire CV, but let's just talk a little bit about your training as it pertains to cell phone downloads and forensic analysis.
Okay.
Okay, so is it fair to say that this field is evolving?
Always.
So you said you spent 10 years there?
Yes, sir.
What sort of things did you do in computer crimes 10 years ago?
Things were a lot different. It was actually a lot easier to do forensics back then, because with updates of how the phones operate, how Apple or whoever Android operating system, they just make it more difficult. And now we have to figure that out.
What do you mean more difficult?
With encryption, file-based encryption on a hard drive, so data that you hold personal can't just be taken off the phone and given out to whoever.
So talking about what a detective in computer crimes, or first of all, what your current role at the Secret Service, what exactly do you do there?
I'm a network intrusion forensic analyst.
Okay, so would that be the same sort of duties you've had in computer crimes?
Yeah, the same thing that I did, cell phone analysis, computers, just with more network intrusion, like someone hacks into a bank or something like that.
Okay, so walk me through, what is a typical day for a expert in the area of cell phone forensics?
Typical day is you come into work, you just see what work needs to be done. Really the case, depending on the case, how important it might be to get that to either examine those phones or contact the detective that brought that stuff in to see exactly what they're looking for on those devices.
So you'd be somebody to receive the cell phone, seize an investigation, and then conduct an investigation into that device.
Correct.
Okay, so what does that entail?
That entails, depending on the device, we have tools that are able to obtain the data from the phones. And then we then take that data, because it could be voluminous, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of pages, and then put it into an easy readable format called Celebrate is the company, and they make a forensic analyzer reader, which makes it easy to look at.
So that reader, that's one of the tools, forensic tools you mentioned?
That's not the tool that we use. That's what we give out to investigators. The tool that we use is a little bit more than that reader tool, with the functionality that it gives us. But the reader tool makes it easier for the average investigator to look at.
Okay, so help me understand this. So a phone is taken as part of evidence, a search warrant is obtained for that phone, and then you're given the phone itself. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so tell the jury, please, what do you do with the phone? Walk us through that step by step.
Depending on the phone, again, if it's passcode protected, or if it's not passcode protected, there's different steps that we have to do. We hook it up to the tool. In this case, it would have been Celebrate, again, as a company, and the tool is their Celebrate Premium platform, and that's able to obtain what's called a full file system, which is everything on the phone, everything you can get off of it, as long as there's not encryption on it.
What's encryption?
Encryption is, how do I describe it? I don't make it easy, it just jumbles up the information. It makes the word "the" look like absolutely nothing that you can understand.
Okay. So as an investigator in the area of digital information, you don't confine yourself just to a cell phone, would that be right?
Oh, that's correct.
Okay, so what other sources of information would you draw upon as an investigator?
Someone's social media accounts, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, all that stuff, anything you would download to your phone. And obviously the phones are cell phones, so you'd want to get the cell phone records from the carrier.
Okay. Now, talk to us about how you obtain that information from other sources other than just the device itself.
Via search warrant.
Before a search warrant is sent, do you send something else?
Yeah, there's something called a preservation letter. What that does is in order for us to get a search warrant, you have to have probable cause, a reason, a judge to believe that the information you're looking for is going to be there. So while we're trying to gather that probable cause, we tell AT&T, don't destroy these records under any circumstances for 90 days until you hear back from us.
Okay. Now, as an investigator, why is it important to not confine yourself to just the device itself? When I say device, I'm talking about a cell phone. So why would you not confine yourself just to that cell phone?
Because sometimes the stuff isn't always stored on the phone. It could be stored on a server, and the computer system, like again, Facebook, for example, or Instagram, that information isn't always stored directly on your device. It's stored on a server that your phone just accesses.
Okay. So is it your goal then as an investigator in computer forensics to gather as much information as possible?
Always.
And then when you gather the information, what do you do with it?
Start talking to the OIC, as it's called, the officer in charge of the case. What are you guys looking for? What do you need? How can we help you? Basically.
Now, is every cell phone the same in how they store and transmit data?
No, sir.
Okay, tell me the differences.
The difference is, to put it plainly, the more advanced the phone, Apple, for example, or a higher end Android device like a Samsung, could have file-based encryption, where a lower end phone doesn't necessarily have that file-based encryption.
Do you know why that is?
It's just whatever the manufacturer wants to put on the phone to keep the cost down, to not have as many developers and all that stuff. You just keep the cost down by not having that as part of your platform.
So if the user of a phone is spending more money for the device from a certain manufacturer, they can expect to have a higher level of encryption. Would that be right?
Yeah, and features, yes.
The features. Okay.
Yes.
So then, is it possible to recover deleted content from a phone?
Potentially.
And why is it potential?
Potentially because, again, you go back to that file-based encryption that I've said over and over. If it's, once you delete something on your phone, it's not necessarily always deleted on the phone, it's just encrypted. You telling it to delete it just erases the path to get you that encrypted data. And so we can't find it.
So it has nothing to do with the forensic tools at your disposal, it's regarding the manufacturer of the device itself?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you talked about how some information can be stored on a server as opposed to a device. If something is deleted from a phone by the user, are you still able to recover it from the server?
Potentially, yes.
Okay, and tell me in what circumstances.
For this situation in particular, I did some research. Facebook Messenger, for example, two people are having a conversation, I delete it on my phone. All I do is I tell my phone I don't want to see it anymore. Where Facebook, as the other person wants to see that conversation, won't delete it so that person can still read the conversation on their end of the phone.
Okay, so let's say you and I have a Facebook Messenger chat with each other, and I delete that from my phone. If the investigator wanted to recover that information, it wouldn't be on my phone. Is that correct?
Possibly, yes. Correct.
Okay, but then you could send a search warrant to Facebook, to the server, and obtain that information.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what if you and I both deleted it from our phones? What would happen then?
According to what I looked up and looked at Facebook's website, that it won't be available.
Okay, so then it's deleted completely if both users of the chat delete it.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about deleted text messages on the device itself? Tell me how that works.
Yeah, it just comes back to possibly being able to delete or retrieve deleted text messages on how they're stored in the phone, if the database is still available, or if the app's totally deleted from the phone, and all that data is stored in the phone, and I tell it to delete that app, then it could possibly be totally gone.
So if you were to review, let's say, screenshots from one person's phone and then a forensic analysis of somebody else's phone, if the screenshots didn't match up with the forensic analysis, what would that tell you?
That was possibly deleted.
Okay. Now, during the course of this investigation, People versus Jennifer Crumbley, did you uncover evidence of deleted content from Jennifer Crumbley's phone?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and we're gonna get into that later. But before we do, could you tell us just in general terms, what does a cell phone do that maybe a layperson wouldn't know?
It's continually working in the background, talking to a cell tower. One, so your carrier knows where you're at, so it can give you the phone call that someone's trying to get a hold of you, or the text message, or it is updating your email account without you telling it to do it, because the application is just constantly looking for a signal, so you open it and there's most updated information.
So that's when the phone's powered on, right?
Correct.
Okay, so when the phone's powered on, it's constantly doing things. Would that be right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what about when the phone's powered off?
It's doing nothing. It's just off.
Okay, so it can't update.
Correct.
Okay, so when a phone's powered on, is it possible to obtain the location of that device?
Yes.
How so?
Because there's a feature, whether you have an Apple product or an Android product, each one of them has what they call location services, and it's actually to benefit the user of the phone. So because that information is sold to McDonald's or whatever, you're near McDonald's and your device says, "Hey, I'm near McDonald's." Oh, cool, I'll send you an ad for McDonald's or a coupon for McDonald's. So that's
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have, as an investigator, a fair amount of reliability in that because of the capability for somebody's phone to sell the device basically to an advertiser.
correct. Yes.
Okay. And are you able to obtain someone's location from their phone based upon other data as well?
That's correct. Yes.
And how so?
Through the carrier themselves, AT&T or T-Mobile, whoever you may have. Again, your cell phone's constantly talking to a cell tower, and they try to triangulate your position on where you are based on the signal back and forth from each tower.
Now, on an Android phone, for example, it automatically comes with a Gmail account. Is that right?
No, you have to make a Gmail account.
Okay, you make a Gmail account.
Yes.
Okay. So if someone were to have a Gmail account, would that also help an investigator determine the location of that device?
Absolutely, yes.
Why is that?
Because again, that information, that location services is stored within that particular Gmail account that someone might have. So if we would search warrant Google for your particular email, the Gmail, they would have, if that's turned on, the location services would be given to us.
Okay. So I want to talk about the evidence in this particular case. There were a total of 7 phones recovered, and I'll go step by step with you. So I'm going to review with you, I'll show you a slide here, of some of the sources of available information. So you see that as the school shooter, his initials.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it true that you reviewed a T-Mobile phone, last 4 digits, the phone number 1551?
That's
a
right.
Facebook account,
Correct.
and an Instagram account.
Correct.
And you were able to determine, and we heard testimony yesterday, that both James and Jennifer Crumbley followed that particular account.
That's correct. They did.
Okay. So you were able to review not only the shooter's phone, but also social media, Facebook and Instagram for that individual.
Correct.
Okay. Now regarding Jennifer Crumbley's electronic information, you reviewed information from 3 phones.
Correct.
Okay, so we have one listed as an original phone. Are you aware that her original phone was seized on November the 30th in the evening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you're aware that she purchased what we refer to as a burner phone or a track phone that night?
Correct.
Okay. And then that's the number, the 947 phone number?
Correct, that's right.
Okay. And you're also aware that subsequent to turning over her original phone and prior to arrest, she obtained another phone?
Correct.
And that was with her same original phone number?
Correct.
Okay, so you reviewed that device as well?
Exactly, yes, sir.
So just so we're clear, when I say you review the device, we're talking about forensically analyzing the data on that cell phone?
Correct, yeah, exactly.
Okay. You were also able to obtain information from Facebook, from 2 different Facebook accounts?
Correct.
Okay. And information from a search warrant served on Google regarding her Gmail account?
Correct.
Okay. And that Gmail account and that Yahoo account, does that include location data?
The Gmail account, yes, yes, it does.
Gmail account did?
Yes.
Okay. Now regarding James Crumbley, again, 3 cell phones. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. His Instagram account,
Correct.
his Yahoo account,
Correct.
his Gmail account,
Correct.
an email through Charter Communications,
Correct, yes.
and then a search warrant was served on DoorDash to obtain his DoorDash driving location history.
Correct.
Okay. Now, your goal with obtaining all of this information as an investigator into digital evidence is to obtain the who, the what, the where, the why, and turn that information over to the officer in charge and ultimately the prosecutors in the court. Is that correct?
Correct, everything we can get.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 76. I don't believe we have an objection to any of the evidence coming in through Officer or Investigator Bogorowski, do we?
No, we have several objections, and I believe many of them have been placed on the record already, but let me open up 76.
Okay, this is 76. Okay.
We have no objection to 76.
Okay, 76.
And I'm sorry, with this witness, we're gonna have to go exhibit by
That's right.
exhibit.
That's all right. 76 is admitted.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
That is what it would look at, a printout from the Celebrate Reader or Celebrate Physical Analyzer program of someone's information on the painted phone. And it's Jennifer Crumbley's followed her son's Instagram account.
Okay, so just to give us an idea of what we're looking at here, this is a snippet from a PDF export from that forensic tool they use.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so tell me how that digital information comes to you and how it ends up looking like this.
The reports, the information that we have, you can put it in any number of formats. You can put it in a PDF like this is, in a Word document or Excel spreadsheet. And you just tell the software what you want it to show you and export the software, and this is what it produces.
Okay. So moving on to Exhibit 77, this is a portion of James and Jennifer's Facebook messages. And Judge, I did want to place on the record that we do have an additional exhibit 423 that'll be introduced to this officer too. That's the entire Facebook message thread between James and Jennifer Crumbley. Counsel placed an objection on the record yesterday regarding that, so we're introducing the entire 2,000-page thread.
And Your Honor, I until I look at that 2,000-page thread, I object to it. My objection, I need to look through it. I might not object to it.
Okay.
My objection yesterday was about the exhibits the prosecution was showing, those individual exhibits. They deleted parts of those.
Hold on. Nobody deleted anything. This is
Well, they put
demonstrative aid. The exhibits are the same, and
Okay,
we're giving the whole thing.
okay.
Okay, and
You can, they're admitting an exhibit and showing the jury portions of it. They're permitted to do that, right?
right, so, but I'm just saying, my question yesterday about the parts missing did not mean I'm asking for all thousands and thousands of texts to be introduced.
Okay,
So I'm gonna take a look at them and see if we do have an objection, and we may not.
okay.
The other,
You've had them for a while.
what's that?
You've had them for a while.
Yeah, I
Okay,
have.
but
January 22.
I guess the difficulty is that the prosecution does not want the jury to get the impression that they're in some way hiding something or not presenting something to them. So they're presenting the portions of that exhibit that they think are relevant for purposes of this witness's testimony. In the event that you want the entire exhibit in, the prosecution is saying we don't object to that.
Right.
So it's up to you. You can let us know.
Right, and I believe the only problem is this court's made other rulings where things are discussed in those texts that are not a part of this.
Okay.
So when I reviewed their exhibits, as a whole. They're allowed to show different pieces of the exhibits, but that didn't mean I was suggesting we just admit the whole thing, because you've made other rulings about,
Okay. All right.
okay?
Okay,
And-
they don't want the jury to think that they're not willing to provide the boxes and boxes of evidence. I'm sure that there are in both of these cases, but I'll leave it to you. They want to ask this witness questions about specific portions of those 2,000 pages. They don't want to show the jury 2,000 pages and then ask questions about it. So,
I completely understand
Okay.
that, I get that. The other thing I would ask the court is, until the exhibit is admitted, I would ask that the exhibits are not being published to the jury.
yeah, yes,
That's
correct,
fine, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well,
correct, agreed.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, we're on exhibit 78.
78.
Okay, and
Okay.
let me just find my list really quick.
Okay, so 75 is admitted.
In 78, we have no objection to.
Okay, yeah. Tell us what the exhibit is.
76 was admitted as well.
Yeah, just try to put tell us what the exhibit is prior to, so that she knows which one. and can object.
I have that 76 was admitted, 78 was admitted. The prosecution indicated they are skipping what was proposed
77.
exhibit 77.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Although we have no objection to 77.
okay, so you don't object to 76 or 78, so they're admitted. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Do you remember my question?
No, sir, I don't.
I don't either.
Okay. All right. So this is exhibit 78. It's been admitted. This is from the James and Jennifer Facebook message thread. Okay. So before we get into the content, you talked for a little bit before about deleted content, specifically a Facebook Messenger thread between two people.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in the course of your investigation, you came to learn that Jennifer Crumbley had a Facebook account.
That's correct.
And that James Crumbley also had one.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you uncover this particular chat thread on Jennifer Crumbley's phone?
No,
Okay. How did you obtain it?
through a search warrant to James Crumbley's account.
Okay. So if there is an actual chat history, in this case, a 2,000-page chat history between two people, but it's not found on a device, but it's found on the server, what does that indicate to you?
That one person deleted it.
And in fact, Jennifer Crumbley had the Facebook Messenger app on her phone.
That's correct, she did.
Just this was deleted.
The chat thread, correct.
All right. Now 78 is a few slides, so we'll go through it together. Okay, we have the date and time up there. We're gonna start with March the 9th of 2021. We're going to backtrack a day to give it context, and then we're gonna go through late winter, early spring of 2021. Okay, so before we get into this, is it fair to say that as a investigator who analyzes all this electronic and digital information, you're able to provide a digital footprint for the individuals you're investigating?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's the goal of your investigation, generally speaking?
Yes, sir.
Blue is who?
That is Jennifer.
That's Jennifer, okay. So she wrote, leaving at 4 today, what time you done? And that was March 9th at 2:55 p.m.
Correct.
Okay, now it says UTC -5. What does that mean?
The UTC is, that people might know as GMT, it's where all time starts in Greenwich, and then it goes plus or minus depending on which way you go from that line. At that time of the year in March, we were -5 hours from the start of time. So if you add 5 hours, it would give you what the UTC actual time is on the year.
So when we see UTC minus a number, that indicates to us that that's real time.
That's correct. It's already been factored in. The software did that.
Perfect, okay. So March the 9th, you able to get an idea what James and Jennifer were doing and talking about in this conversation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so she wrote, leaving at 4 today, what time you done? James wrote 5, he's in green,
Correct.
and we know that because that's his Facebook ID as well as his name that came with the Cellbrite reader.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And she wrote, okay, see you at 5:30.
Correct.
Sir, in all the information that you recovered, is it fair to say that James and Jennifer Crumbley communicated quite a bit through Facebook Messenger?
Yes, sir. They did.
And so the Facebook Messenger thread is substantially more so in volume and data than any text message thread you found between the two of them.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. 3:46, March 9th, Jennifer wrote, "Bring me socks and a drink, LOL." What did James write?
A drink, nah.
Okay. Jennifer, got myself a drink at 4:31 p.m. And James's response?
Okay, you grabbed smokes too? Almost out, I think.
Okay. And she writes, yes. Did you check the front porch? And what did James write?
Nothing on the porch. What were you expecting?
And she wrote their new blankets. Now, are you able to determine where they go later that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so need hoodie, NOL socks. I believe that was supposed to be wool. He wrote hoodie check, there are no socks on my way. Okay, now this is exhibit 79. Actually, I'm gonna approach. Unless there's an objection to the photograph found on your phone.
I have no objection, but again, I would ask.
That's fine, that's fine.
Before they,
Yeah, I agree with you.
thank
I
you,
agree- I agree with you. Okay.
but no objection to 79, thank you.
Okay, 79 good with it.
There are two exhibits on one side, so I'm gonna.
Okay.
This is 79 and underneath it is 80. Have you seen those items before?
Yes, sir.
And how have you seen them?
There were pictures on Jennifer's phone.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to admit 79, I believe stipulation, as well as 80.
I'm sorry, can I have a moment, please?
Sure.
I have no objection to 79 or 80.
Okay,
That's
so
correct.
79 is admitted and 80 is admitted.
Now, as an investigator, are you able to tell when you look at a photograph that's saved on a phone, where the photograph was taken and when it was taken?
Potentially, yes, sir.
Potentially, okay, in what circumstances?
If the camera is set to record, that you wanted to tell you the date and time that it was taken and the GPS location of where you're at on the earth.
Okay, so 79 and 80 on the screen. 79 is the picture itself, and then in the text box on the right, that's the metadata?
Correct.
What's metadata?
Metadata is, we call it, it's the data within the data. The main data here is a picture of a horse. The metadata inside that data is all the stuff, the camera make, the camera model that's captured that you just don't usually ever know what happens.
You know, I think before we get into your investigation into the phones itself, I want us to back up a little bit and talk about your involvement, how you got involved in this case. So November 30th, 2021, you were a detective in computer crimes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember that day? Okay. Were you working?
Yes, sir.
Where were you at 12:51 p.m. on November 30th?
At 12:51 p.m., I was sitting in my office, I believe, at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Did you learn of the school shooting in Oxford?
Yes, sir.
Tell me how you learned that and what you did next.
Our captain came in, and well, prior to that, our sergeant, who was off that day, had said that there was a shooter at the high school. And we thought in the office, like, there's just somebody near the area that fired a long gun or something like that, you know, from a house, and, you know, the police are gonna show up and do their job. And then probably a few minutes after that, our captain came in and said that there was a shooting at Oxford High School, and the phrase used was all hands on deck.
Okay. So what'd you do?
Being what is referred to in the business as a computer nerd, you just grab your stuff, you know, your computer, your laptop, what you think you might need, what we had no idea what we were getting into. And I knew Oxford was a long ways away from the Pontiac area. I figured by the time I got there, it was gonna be long over, and me and my partners are just gonna do what we do.
Okay. So did you get in a squad car? Did you get in an unmarked car?
I have an unmarked, at the time I had an unmarked white minivan with emergency lights and siren in it.
So did you start heading north then?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell me about that.
Well, at first it didn't seem real. I remember pulling out of the parking lot and I looked to my left and there was, some patrol cars coming around the corner. There's the medical examiner's office down there. And I'm like, then it like really came real, like, holy crap, like they know about it. It was the state police. I'm like, they know about it. Like, this is serious. It's bigger than I could ever have imagined. So I flipped my lights on at that point and just drove north
Okay. How fast were you going?
as fast as the van will let me.
How long did it take you to get there?
I have no idea. It seemed like eternity, I can tell you that much.
So Oxford High School, it's a large school. It's one level, it's one story rather.
Yes, sir.
As far as area, it's got a pretty big footprint. Okay, so where did you go when you pulled up?
When I was driving there, there's a lot of radio traffic, a lot. I remember I was actually at 24 and Lapeer Road, M24 Lapeer Road and Updike, and they called that S1 was in custody. And I was still, I know, a ways off from there. But that, you know, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if there was a second shooter, third shooter, a bomb landed somewhere. So, you know, it just didn't stop. I drove north on 24. Again, it seemed like eternity. And with every half mile I drove, it seemed like there was another emergency vehicle falling in behind me.
Yesterday was described as a caravan. Would that be accurate?
Oh, it was definitely a caravan. There was one time we got into, I remember approaching a light, we were getting closer, and there was, the light had just turned red. So cross traffic was gonna start, which obviously a dangerous situation, being in a car. Actually, the white minivan that no one believes is a police car. And so as I approached, I got up into the intersection. I inched my way in there to stop traffic and hold the intersection. And I counted every vehicle that went past me. There were 18, or SWAT trucks, ambulance, patrol cars from agencies that were nowhere even near our area.
So tell me what you see when you pull up on the scene.
Like I said, there's a lot of chatter on the radio. I wasn't familiar, I'm not familiar with the area of Oxford at the time. I had no idea where the school was. All I could hear was the staging area and Ray Road. And so I'm just thinking, I'm just gonna drive north, I'm gonna follow this caravan, we're gonna go up there, and as soon as I see the Meyer, I'm gonna stop there because I have no idea where the heck I'm going. I didn't bother putting in my GPS, of course. And I turn onto Ray Road, and all I see is I see kids that look like my kids. There were girls wearing real, small clothing, and one kid, I didn't have a shoe on. They were coming down the road, coming towards the Meyer, and just like walking across the snow. And I remember it was cold that day. I had 2 coats on, and I was shaking when I got out of my car, and there was kids just walking past me, dressed like anybody in this courtroom is right now, they're not ready for the weather.
So you said you went to the Meyer on Ray Road?
Yes.
Did you learn that was the reunification point for parents and children?
At the time, I didn't know that was a reunification point. I just saw that there were a ton of kids going there. When I got out of my car, walked down there, they were sending everybody down to the garden area to try to get, names of people that had gotten to that point. And once I got, that would be at the south end of the Myers. Once I got to the garden area, there were kids just everywhere, just standing in the cold or making their way into I'm sorry.
Okay. What did you do when you arrived? Where did you go?
Like I said, I went to the garden area. I picked up on what they were trying to do. They were passing out notebooks, just to write down everybody's names and phone number, all the students that were coming in. So I first started just collecting that. And then they started telling everybody, we got to go outside and get all the kids inside, because again, it was freezing out there. And so I go back outside and I start like trying to direct people like to go inside. And I know the trauma they just experienced, so I'm not gonna force them in the building. I'm not gonna grab them and drag them in there. And I remember putting my arm on a couple of the kids' shoulders, and like they didn't move, they didn't nudge, they didn't do anything. There were parents there, just standing there. There were some parents that had made it reunified with their kids. I remember seeing school buses pull up.
School buses with
Students on it. for her that had made it out of school.
Did you go to the school?
Yes, I was probably at the Meyer for like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes maybe. And then Detective Jeff Enger had called me and said that he was attempting to obtain the security footage for the school.
Where does Jeff Enger work?
He's also a detective at the computer crime unit, works with me.
So you were asked to go to the school.
Yes, sir.
Why were you asked to go there?
At that time, I was a little more versed in DVR systems. Jeff had told me, Detective Enger had told me that he was looking to trying to get that off of there, and he just didn't, he wanted to get it right, of course. And so he asked me to come up there and help him.
Okay. So you drove to the high school from Meyer, or did you walk?
I drove.
Okay. And where did you go when you got there?
I drove to what would have been the north entrance of the school.
The main entrance?
Yes, main
Okay.
entrance.
And tell me what you saw when you walked in.
When I first walked in, well, there's vehicles people walking in and coming in and out, it was crazy chaos. And I walk in and Detective Sergeant Sean Wilson was standing at the door, keeping security, so to speak, at the time, not making sure people aren't coming in, they shouldn't be there.
Okay. And where did you go?
I asked where the security office was, because that's where Detective Enger told me he was, and people pointed me, eventually it was back behind the main office.
Okay. So tell me what you did when you arrived and who was there.
Jim Rourke was there, who was a school security at the time. He was trying to get the video footage. Detective Jeff Enger was in the room. Lieutenant Marsban was in the room. Deputy Lewert, who was a school resource officer, was in the room. And ATF agent was also in the room.
That was Mr. Brandon? Testified
Yes,
yesterday?
exactly, yes.
Special agent, not Mr. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did you know him at the time?
I had no idea who he was.
Okay. And you said you had a familiarity with DVR systems, that's why you were called.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, so what was your specific role at this part of the investigation?
I'll be honest, I wasn't given a direct mission or anything at that time, because they were looking for a second bad guy or third bad guy. And so I knew that people would want to know, the bosses would want to know what happened, like where did it start? Who was it if they didn't know that, or were there more people or whatever? So we just started to look for the shooter in the hallway that it started.
Was the school made safe at that point? They were still clearing the school?
No, it was not.
Okay, so the officers were still conducting their searches, because like you said, they weren't sure if it was one shooter, two shooter, three
Yeah,
shooters?
it might have been, I'm sorry. It might have been 1:30, 1:45 at this time, maybe a little bit later than that,
Okay, that's the time you arrived at the school?
and got to the office,
I
correct?
got to the office, okay, thank you. Did you learn how many surveillance cameras were active in Oxford High School on November the 30th of 21?
Yes, there's well over 90 of them.
Okay. And so it was your job at that point, or your role as you saw it, to identify who the shooter was?
Correct.
Okay, so how did you go about doing that?
We started in the hallway, the 200 hallway where it all started, in the bathroom that the shooter came out. And we attempted to backtrack him going in there. I remember it took us like 15 minutes to try to figure out, because he had actually changed his clothes. We didn't know who the shooter was. We didn't know his name in the office at that time. He was in custody at the time. We didn't know. And I remember someone in the office, someone saying, eventually giving us his name, and then saying that he was in the school counselor's office earlier that day. So we went back to that time of day when he was going in and out of the school counseling office to find out what he was actually wearing at that time. And we were able to follow him to the bathroom then.
How long did that process take you?
Well, because we didn't know what he was wearing, it took us 20 minutes to try to figure that out.
Now, are you the person, so you backtrack to the point where the shooter walked into the bathroom that he emerged from to begin the shooting, is that right?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. So are you the person, the investigator, who actually put together the footage of the shooting itself?
Yes, sir.
So you're familiar with the path the shooter took in the school?
Very much so, yes.
I'm gonna ask you to walk us through that. So you told us that he went into a bathroom. That's the bathroom adjacent to room 258?
Correct, yes.
Okay, tell us what happens next.
He he comes out of the bathroom. What I envision is he comes out of the bathroom with a proud chest, with his, almost like his shoulders are back, like he looked excited. He comes out of the bathroom, and immediately to his left is a victim, and he shoots her in her neck, and then her boyfriend was there and shot him in his he put his hand up and shot him in his mouth.
And that's right outside 258.
Yes, sir.
What happened next?
He then quickly turned his gun to a group of 4 girls that were just standing there. He shot Hannah St. Julian, and she immediately fell to the ground. And then he continued shooting in the area that those girls were, and they sort of just like fell on top of each other, because they were hit as well.
Yeah, first one.
Sure.
This is a map. It's already been admitted. You can use it to describe.
What exhibit number?
That's 5, Judge. Thank you.
Judge 5, okay, exhibit 5.
Exhibit 5.
At this point, it's under a minute that all that shooting happened, and then so at that point, obviously, it must have really, again, kicked in, for lack of a better phrase, to the victims in the hallway, and they started running. Then the shooter, with just a one-arm grab, just started firing rounds down the hallway, with no regard for obviously anything, and bullets are flying, and there's one girl who was, you see at the end of the hallway. She just, as the shooting starts, she drops down into the fetal position, to attempt to protect herself. And the shooter runs up to her and just puts the gun right to her head. And that was Madison. And you see her fall over. He then goes around the hallway, and there's, at this time, all the kids have gotten out of the area, most of the kids. You see 2 girls. One stops at a classroom that obviously the victims inside have already locked the door, so you can't pull it open. You see her trying to tug on that door. And there's another girl with dark hair that comes running up behind her and like grabs her while the shooter is just shooting down the hallway. And then they just take off running further down the hallway. Then now he's rounded the corner from where it all started. Continues going down the hallway. I think at that point, he might have reloaded his gun and continued down the hallway. I'm sorry. And then he stops as he gets to, like, there's a courtyard, what they call the cubby. Jim worked on, they call this area the cubby, where the cameras are. And you see Tate near, he comes in the door, and then just takes a left. He must not have known what was going on. And that's when the shooter leveled the gun, like if you were at a gun range and practicing. Leveled the gun, appeared to look down the sights of the gun, and fired around. Tate just fell instantly. He continues on down the hallway, walks past Tate, doesn't care to acknowledge the fact that even happened. I'm sorry. Prior to walking down the hallway, that's right, he, while Tate's body was laying there, you see the shooter with the gun still level fires another round, and it causes Tate's body to jerk. I don't know if it hit him in the hip or the backside or whatever. Tate's body jerks, and then the shooter walks past him. You see his feet at the top of the camera frame. There's not a camera that picks them up because if there's not enough movement, they don't start recording. But you see his feet stop in what I later found out to be a teacher's classroom, and he turns, and then he fires into that classroom. He continues on down the hallway, looking into classrooms and stuff like that. There was one, as he gets so far down the hallway, he had fired a couple rounds down the hallway. Once he gets to a certain point, all the children are gone at this point. The teachers had gotten him out of there, they had ran, out of the building and out through the door, wherever the heck they could get out of there. As he's coming back, you see him stop because the way that classroom was, if you're walking away from it, it's on your right-hand side, you don't see the classroom because it's actually behind you at this point. But as he's coming back, he must have seen people hiding in a corner because he can now see through the window. And he fires off a few rounds through that window. He keeps coming down. He's coming back down the hallway now at this point. And then the assistant principal, Gibson Marshall, I didn't know her at the time. He walks right past her, and sort of, I don't know what she said to him, but if she said anything, but you see like the shooter as he's walking by and the gun's in his hand, and he sort of just turns his head and just, I don't know why, but he turns his head and looks away from her, doesn't even look at her, doesn't acknowledge her as he's walking past. And then he continues on down the hallway, and stops at the bathroom where Justin was killed. And just like an abrupt stop, like, okay, well, and he just turned right and went to the bathroom.
So I didn't tell you I was gonna ask you that. You obviously have this committed to memory.
Oh, yes.
How many times have you seen this footage?
Like I said before, I don't know, it's burned in my brain.
And it was your responsibility to obtain that footage, to get the information to officials at the sheriff's office and federal law enforcement as well?
Yes, sir.
So you were the person that had to watch, rewind over and over again?
Countless times, yes.
Judge, this might be a good time for a short break.
Okay.
Your Honor, my client could use a second if we could, please. She's like, I'm trying to like,
Okay,
if we could.
okay, I understand. We
Thank
understand.
you.
We understand. Okay, so we're gonna take a 10-minute break, so if you can be ready to come back out here at 10 Are you sergeant? I'm in the habit of demoting and promoting people while they're on the stand. You're sergeant?
No, ma'am, I'm an analyst now.
You're analyst.
Civilian
Oh,
employee, I'm
you're a
sorry.
civilian. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
ma'am.
You're dismissed. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are still a witness and still under oath, so you can't discuss your testimony with anyone during the break.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can step down.
All rise for the jury. Like,
Okay, you can take her downstairs. You can be seated.
I mean, just like distance.
Is it, oh, here's the witness. You can retake the stand if you'd like.
All right, to the jury.
All right, you may be seated. You are still on your own. Okay, okay, go ahead.
May I proceed, Jeff?
Sure.
Okay. Now, just one more question about November the 30th. When you arrived at the Meyer on Ray Road, were there just a few parents there or a lot of parents there?
There are dozens of parents just standing there just waiting.
Now, I want to direct your attention now to the late winter of 2021 and the early spring of 2021, specifically how you came to know about information regarding that time period in your review of the defendant's device. So I had already introduced this exhibit. 79 is the photograph, 80 is the metadata. Okay, and if you could tell us, did you recover evidence around this time frame that was of note to you of an investigator in this case?
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, we're going to start with March the 9th and move backwards from there. May I first witness?
Sure.
This is people proposed to be one. Sir, I've just handed you a map. We were talking about metadata and how it can occasionally give an investigator an idea of where and when a photograph was taken. Okay, and if we look at the screen here on exhibit 80, we have coordinates at the bottom of that metadata, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so 81 I've just handed you, that's the coordinates plugged into a map.
Yeah, in the Google, yes, correct.
People move to omit 81.
No objection.
81's.
I'm sorry, 80,
It's a Google map of metadata.
yep, no objection.
81's admitted.
So this is 81 on the screen here, and that tells you, in addition to the metadata, where that picture was taken, where that device was when the picture was taken.
Correct.
Okay, and again, this is March 9th of 2021.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to ask you about what Jennifer's son was texting Jennifer about on March 9, 2021. May I approach the witness?
Sure.
This is People's Proposed Exhibit 82. Sir, those are text messages exported from Jennifer Crumbley's phone. Have you seen that in the past?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay, and how did you come to see that?
From the phone extraction.
Okay, and you extracted the information, you reviewed those messages?
Correct, yes.
People move to omit 82.
Any objection to 82?
I'm sorry.
82 is a text message between shooter and Jennifer, pages 105 to 106, dated March 9th, 2021.
Yeah, I believe that the court, I've
Previously lodged an
Thank you.
objection that I thought I rolled on. Correct, it's preserved. 82 is admitted.
Thank you. So I'm going to publish that to the jury. There's multiple slides, and then you can look at the screen. So this information is from Jennifer's original phone. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And so People's 82, we have multiple slides here. The blue is the defendant's son. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what is he writing on March 9, 2021 at 7:50 in the evening?
He's asking, if Jennifer could come home. There's someone in the house, I think.
Okay, and what's the next text he writes?
It's, the third one says someone walked into the bathroom and flushed the toilet and left the light on.
Okay, that's March 9, 2021 at 7:50.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, and then March 9th, 7:50 and 52 seconds, what does he write?
And I thought it was you, but when I came out, no one was home.
And then he writes, there's no one in the house though.
Correct,
Dude, my door just slammed. That's at 8 p.m.
yes,
Maybe it's just my paranoia. That's at 8:01 p.m., March the 9th.
yes.
Okay, and then this is 8:01 p.m. text to his mother, the defendant, but when are you going to get home? And when was the next text response in the phone download that you recovered?
The next response was the following day on March 10th, where she said, "Where's your dad?" At 10 a.m., 10:21 a.m.
May I approach the witness?
Sure.
This is People's Proposed Exhibit 83. Sir, take a look at that and tell me if you recognize what I just handed you.
Yes, sir.
And how do you recognize that?
It's an extraction report in a PDF format of a call log from a cell phone.
Okay, and that call log specifically was recovered on the shooter's phone.
Correct.
Okay, this is from March of 9th, 2021 to March the 20th, 2021.
That's on the last page. Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. People move to admits 83.
And I have no objection to that.
83 is admitted.
So the slide I'm going to show you, it's a snippet of that. We're going to go back to Exhibit 83 throughout your testimony.
Okay.
Specifically, because we're talking about March the 9th right now. March the 9th, 2021, the phone call to either his mom or dad to his father, James Crumbley. It was a missed call at 7:31 a.m. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
And his mom called him at 8:38 p.m., March the 9th. I'm sorry, March the 10th.
Correct, on the 10th.
Okay, so the time those text messages were being sent to his mother, there were no phone calls or texts back in that relevant time period.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to back up a day to March the 8th to give this context. May I approach the witness?
Sure.
This is People's Proposed Exhibit 84. Sir, 84 is the portion of the Facebook thread between James and Jennifer Crumbley, pages 386 to 388 from March the 8th of 21. Is that right?
Correct.
And you've seen this before?
Yes, sir.
People move to admit 84.
No objection, Your Honor.
84 is admitted.
So I'll direct your attention to the screen. This is blue again is Jennifer, green is James. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's because this chat specifically was deleted from Jennifer's phone.
That's correct, it was.
Okay. So Jennifer's words, Ethan going to bowling. Was James right?
IDK, I don't know.
And she writes, what do you mean IDK? His response,
I don't know exactly what I said. We'll know after he gets home.
and Jennifer wrote, does he have his phone? Why isn't he home yet? He should be home by now. That's March 8th, 21 at 3:12 p.m.
That's correct.
Okay. Then she writes, freaking out. And James's response,
He does not get home until 3:16.
and then Jennifer wrote, I told you to pick him up because he's upset and I don't want him to do anything stupid, goddammit.
Correct.
That's March 8th, 21, 3:13 p.m.
That's correct.
And James writes, dude, chill, he is fine, and I'm trying to fucking work.
That's correct, he did.
Okay, so for context, this is the day before those text messages were sent by the defendant's son to the defendant.
Correct.
I want to move on to March the 17th of 2021. May I approach the witness?
Sure.
This is People's Proposed 85. Sir, 85 is the Facebook thread between James and Jennifer Crumbley, pages 432 to 435 from March 17th. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And how do you recognize it?
Again, it's a printout of a Facebook chat.
Okay, and you've, of course, seen that before?
Yes, sir.
Because you were the one that pulled the information?
Correct, yes, sir.
What number is that?
85.
85.
People move to admit 85.
Your Honor, I'm trying to pull it up right now.
Okay, sure. It's hard for me to determine from this list,
Your Honor, I
which
believe,
exhibits have been subject to, previous rulings, just so you know.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, I do object to 84 because there's portions of it that are not admissible, in my opinion.
84 is already.
I'm sorry, 85. I'm sorry, 85. There are portions of 85 that the defense objects to, and they have not been previously ruled upon by the court. May we approach?
Yes. Do you want to go in the hallway? I don't know. Because
I think we first need to find what the actual objection is.
The
Because we
objection,
have a foundation to chain, we have a foundation to we have a stipulation to chain in the foundation. He's already testified to a number of portions of this very same Facebook thread.
it's hard for me to know if I've seen this one before or if I know what it is.
this has not been the subject of a prior ruling.
Okay.
I object to portions of page 432. It does discuss a topic that has been ruled to be inadmissible. So I'm asking that those portions of 85 be struck. They're irrelevant.
Okay, can I see it?
May I approach?
Yeah, that might help.
May I approach?
That may or may not help.
Do you want to?
I'll give you another break, okay? For 5 or 10 minutes. Okay.
All rise for the jury.
All right, you may be seated. You can step down if you want to. It's up to you.
Is it okay if I can?
Yeah, you can step. Yeah, it's up to you. Most people don't want to stay seated there, so.
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
All right. So an issue came up. I'm hoping that we're not going to have to exclude the jury with every exhibit. So some of this I'm relying on memory. So a year and a half ago, some evidentiary rulings were made. This might be an overgeneralization, indicating that the fact that there was alcohol in the home in and of itself was not relevant, right? And then there was a ruling about, what became the prosecutor's attention?
I'm listening, Judge.
What's your,
Sorry.
okay, what,
Sorry.
yeah, what's, okay,
He's just
what,
bringing me up to speed. There wasn't room for me to. interrupt.
okay, all right, so, there was a ruling about,
Council moved to exclude certain pieces of evidence, and this court made a record that was June the 27th of 22.
okay,
And in that record, actually it was page 40 of the transcript, the court specifically said, the court said that the court indicated that it was based upon a preliminary examination transcript. As the court recalls, neither party stipulated the exam transcript for the factual basis, and the court indicated that more evidence is being found even as we speak. I don't want to paraphrase because that's not a verbatim quote.
okay,
And in defense counsel's opening, so to bring the court up to speed on the record, counsel asked to approach and objected to any reference of alcohol. There's one text in this text message thread or Facebook thread between James and Jennifer. Jennifer on March 17th says, "Gonna get drunk and ride my horse." James responds, "Well, don't get drunk." They have a couple of more text messages in the midst of a conversation that is pertinent to our proofs. And that's because the next exhibit will be text messages from the school shooter to Jennifer Crumbley about seeing demons. And then there'll be evidence of a lack of phone calls,
okay,
lack of text messages back. And to get back to the court's ruling, the court said no evidence of alcohol or substance use unless it does show some type of parental neglect.
Okay.
So these particular messages are the same time, the same date where the defendant's son is experiencing or stating that he's experiencing hallucinating. So
Okay.
this is all relevant.
And Your Honor, my point is, on Exhibit 85, there are texts that do not need to be included to make the point that Mr. and Mrs. Crumbley were at the barn and not with their son. We're objecting to the texts that include buying beer, being drunk on a horse. They are irrelevant. They are also irrelevant to someone being a hypervigilant parent. I would consider myself a hypervigilant parent, and I have some cocktails once in a while. That issue is not relevant. The alcohol is not relevant. It's just an unnecessary part of this text to make them look like they're out drinking, when the whole point is that they're out with their horses and not with their son.
Judge, it's not counsel's idea of what the point is.
no, it's not just that they're out with their horses and not with their son, and there's no crime, there's obviously no crime committed by people with children having cocktails, and half this room would probably be in jail, but that being said, the issue is whether or not the shooter's texts are being ignored. That's the point of it.
Right, Judge. And there is enough for proof. There's substantial evidence that has been excluded that shows the substance use of James and Jennifer Crumbley. Substantial. We're not introducing any of that because of the court's ruling. But directly on point to this, in the midst of a conversation, it is relevant. It's material, it's probative, it's under 401 people we know.
Okay, well, am I able to see a specific picture of, because some of it might be, some of it might not be. So I don't want to do this while the jury is waiting. Is there more things like this that it's if the shooter is having some trauma, feeling some trauma and reaching out to his parents and they're ignoring him, that evidence to me is obviously relevant.
Correct, Judge.
So
Yes.
if,
I'm not objecting to all of 85. I'm objecting to the portions about alcohol.
okay.
Judge, the door has been open. Counsel specifically said, I think more than once, that her client is a hyper-vigilant mother.
That is
Hang on, nobody says anything about having a cocktail, but when there's evidence to show that they are drinking when the son is texting things to the mother, no call back, That's important, and it's important to show the jury what they actually did and spent their time on.
Okay, can I see the text thread again? And is that the only one? Because the jury's pulling their heels on the, is there any more like this?
There are more like this. And
Okay, well, maybe we need to do this at 6 o'clock tonight. Or should have been raised last night. Okay,
So these exhibits were turned over a long time.
I know.
No. I got all these text messages a long time ago.
Okay,
I found out what they were planning to use from the boxes and boxes of information. I found that out
It's ridiculous.
on,
okay, you've had this
excuse me, on
discovery.
Tuesday night. Yeah, I've had this discovery, but I can't file a motion to exclude every single line of these things. I filed many motions.
Okay.
I filed a motion about the alcohol. This part of the text that they told me 2 days ago they're gonna use includes alcohol. I'm just asking that the alcohol portion be struck.
Okay. I understand that, but there's been, I know that there's a lot of exhibits. And I know there's a lot of documents, but we could have had a massive motion in limine fest a while ago, right? So I am loath to make the jury sit there while we're going line by line through evidence. That's very problematic to me.
I didn't intend for this issue to take a long time. I thought this would be a simple objection to just take out the text about drinking, and that's it.
Okay, but, okay, so she says, I'm gonna get drunk and ride my horse. Okay, so that might not be specifically relevant, but at what time is he?
When she's on her horse, that's when he's texting her.
Okay,
And just because she's on her horse and he's texting her, doesn't mean she's looking at the text and ignoring him and saying, I'm gonna have a drink instead of I mean,
okay, my understanding was there was a large period of time where he was texting her and she was with her horse. And then maybe sent a picture of the horse. I don't know.
Correct.
Tell me.
right,
Yes,
she's
that's
out
what
of,
Judge-
you're gonna hear testimony from other witnesses that the cell phone signal doesn't work out where the horse place is.
Well, then that's argument for counsel to make.
It is.
Right, but the fact that they're having beers out there with the horses is not relevant to the point the prosecution's even trying to make about the fact that they're unavailable and not responding to their son.
Okay, there's a text from James Crumbley. This is not when I like to do this. Okay. Okay, she says, gonna get drunk and ride my horse. That's at 1:30 in the afternoon. When do you say he's trying to contact her?
That was a day during the week when she was at work. After work, she went to the barn, the text being around 5:50 PM. When she's at the barn, we know that from pictures and metadata.
Okay, then cans.
And so the court is aware there are no other, we took all other reference out prior to trial of alcohol use in accordance with this court's order. Of course, that's subject to the door being open.
The door was not opened by me saying that she's a vigilant mother.
Okay, so they go to the barn after work. Is that correct? Do we know what time approximately they go to the barn? Because this text is at 1:30, right?
Those texts are from during the day when they're making plans to go to the barn after work.
Right.
And then
Wait, that's somebody else. What-
I believe the text says something about leaving now at,
Okay, so when are they at the barn in relation to his text about demons?
At the same time,
Okay, but is that at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
the
8
first text, the house is not haunted, 6:03 PM.
Okay.
There's a picture of James on a horse taken by Jennifer. There's a picture of Jennifer on a
and we have
horse
no
at the same
objection to
time.
that.
Okay, all right. So she says, I'm going to get drunk and ride my horse, that she's expressing her intention for that evening.
Correct.
I'm going to allow that text, but not the next one about, well, don't get drunk, we are definitely gonna have some drinks, I need to stop and get me a 12-pack of Budweiser bottles, please, I'm gonna keep that out. Right, and, I'm gonna keep that out. She is indicating her intention to go later and ride her horse and get drunk, and when she's riding her horse, when she's at the barn later, is when he is texting and getting no response. So I think that could be relevant to her ignoring her son. All right?
Yeah, probably.
Sure. But this text from James Crumbley, I'm going to exclude. Is there anything else in there that needs to
so
be excluded?
Just for the record, page 432.
Yeah.
The second text.
Yeah,
message
the one
back
from
to
James
Crumbley.
Crumbley. Is there anything else in there?
I'm looking now.
Yeah. Because I don't want to,
No,
we were making good headway yesterday, but now we're moving at a snail's pace, so.
well, Your Honor, there's also a text responding to the one about buying beers. Jennifer just says, okay, but glass is not a good idea. I mean,
Yeah, that, you can strike that too, because it's referring to the text above. It's not relevant.
so it would just be those two portions.
Yeah, can you strike that? I don't know how easy it is to do it up here, but,
It'll just take a minute.
okay. All right.
This one?
Are there any other issues such as this? before-
I'm looking right now, Your Honor.
Okay, well, we shouldn't be leaking right now.
We don't.
Your Honor, I mean, the next exhibit has been the subject of a prior ruling.
Okay,
I'm,
good. That's a good way to do it.
okay, exhibit 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92.
We're trying on the fly
Okay.
to edit an exhibit
Okay, go
or
ahead.
an objection we just got, and now there's
Okay, I want to find out if there's any looming issues, because
we do too.
they're gonna
because
get their 10,000 steps here.
We do too.
Your Honor, I did not think this objection would be such a process. I simply was asking for like one little part of this to be struck, and
Okay,
objections during trial are common. This is
Okay.
just a very simple.
all right, but is there anything else coming up that would require the jury to step out? There's photos.
Well,
I don't know what objections to step out.
I have objections to many photos that are gonna be brought in through a different witness, but what are they planning to use? Because I have 450 right now. If I know what's coming, I can tell the court.
Okay, well, there's a list of exhibits, and there's, coming after that, after the text messages are pictures. It looks like there's pictures of James and Jennifer.
And we have no objection to those.
Okay, I just want to know if,
Your Honor, if I could just say,
Yeah.
there's a lot of inquiry as to exactly who we're calling next, which exhibit we're, and, this isn't a math formula. We really are changing this organically because we're working.
I get it.
So we're trying to be cooperative, but things
Okay.
do change.
I know, and you're not required to divulge your trial strategy and your order and all that. I just I'm moving a lot of people around, and I just want to know if there's anything else that needs to be handled right now on the record.
The only other objections, I believe, with respect to this witness, at least for the next very long time, are objections the court's already ruled on. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, so at least we can get through, this whole page of exhibits with no problem.
All right.
Okay, perhaps council can meet with us after court today to go over the next proposed exhibits, and then we can see what objections.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's just because I don't want to take jury time.
That sounds great.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so,
So 85 is modified and we're,
yes.
thank you.
Okay. Are we ready for the jury?
I think so.
Okay. Everybody know.
With all, when you say all of those, what do you mean?
Everything, we're at 85 right now.
Yeah, no, okay, these ones. Just tell me how far you wanna go, cause I do agree with all those. Up through 100. Right, which is already, that'll be easier. And then I don't have any objections. I mean,
That's fine.
I didn't expect it. Yeah,
Maybe seated. I apologize, there's a large volume of information and we want to streamline it for you as much as possible, all right? You're still on Bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, we're on exhibit 84, I think. All right. This is between James and Jennifer Crumbley. Again, Jennifer is in blue, James is in green. We'll start at the top because that was the call we left off. Does he have his phone from Jennifer, March the 8th?
I'm sorry, you said you're on exhibit 84, but I believe it's 85.
84 was admitted.
84 was admitted. Yes, because 85 is March 17th.
The 84 was on March 8th.
Okay, so you're on 80, I'm on 84, okay, but mine
84 is
just,
on March 8th and this one is on March,
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is 84 on the screen.
that's 84, yeah.
okay, I'm sorry, there,
He went
it
back.
scrolled down, so I,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
James responds with, yes, but he won't answer while he is walking. I will let you know the minute he walks in.
Okay. Jennifer's response, I'm serious freaking out. Is he home yet? And then, okay, now we're moving on to 85. So James and Jennifer Facebook messages. This is from March 17th of 2021. And you've seen this before.
Yes, sir.
And this is admitted pursuant the order that we just had on the record, correct, Judge?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, March 17, 2021, 1:23 p.m. Jennifer writes, cool, leaving at 4 today. Fuck this place. James's response is what?
LOL, you have your stuff for the barn?
Okay. And then Jennifer's response, yes, gonna get drunk and ride my horse. That's March 17, 2020 at 1:30 p.m.
Correct.
There's a response back. And then what does James say?
James says, okay, then cans, you have the debit card.
And Jennifer's response, I know, hate my job. Can you bring out last, please? He says yes. Correct?
Right, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Now, on that same day, did you find any text messages from Jennifer's son to her of a concerning nature? This is March 17, 2021.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is people's proposed 86. I don't believe we have an objection to this.
No objection, thank you.
Is this 86?
86.
86 admitted.
Okay. All right. What does Jennifer's son write to her on March 17th, 2021 at 6:03 p.m.?
He says, okay, the house is now haunted.
And then what?
Some weird shit just happens and now I'm scared. Then it follows with, I got some videos.
Okay, Your Honor, I apologize. This was previously the subject of a motion. I do object, however, the court has already ruled it's admissible. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Yes, I
Okay.
have already ruled on this here. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry about
No,
that.
that's all right.
Okay, please, at the top.
And then Ethan says, continues with, and a picture of the demon. It's throwing bowls. The word bowls is in all caps. He then says, I am not joking. It fucked up the kitchen.
And the next message after that?
He says, I'm just going to be outsider for a while. Can you at least text back?
Okay, so that's from 6:03 to 6:29. The last text, he at least text back was 6:29 p.m.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And the next response from the defendant to her son is when?
2 days later, it's 4:11 in the afternoon. Where's your dad?
Now, this is people's 87 and 88. I don't believe there's an objection to either of these two exhibits.
No objection.
Okay, 87 is the picture, 88 is the metadata with the picture. So, could you please tell us when and where this picture was taken?
It was taken, the GPS similar to the previous ones at a horse barn. He's on a horse. It was taken on March 17th at 6:03 PM.
Okay, 6:03, that's the same time that the text messages regarding the house being haunted and saw a demon?
Correct.
Okay, and this is actually found on Jennifer Crumbley's phone.
That's correct, it was.
And who's that a picture of?
That's James Crumbley.
And that's St. Patrick's Day, correct?
Correct.
This is exhibit 88 and, I'm sorry, 89 and 90. 89 is the photograph, 90 is the metadata.
And we have no objection to 88, 89, or 90.
And this is also St.
Can
Patrick's.
can you move for their admission before you put them on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
This is also St. Patrick's Day 2021, is that correct?
Correct, same day.
And this is an image also on Jennifer Crumbley's phone.
Correct.
Okay. And when was this taken?
On March 17th at 6:03 PM.
Okay. Same location?
It appears so, yes.
I'm gonna move you on to exhibit 91 and exhibit 92. I don't believe there's an objection to either of these pieces of evidence.
There's no objection.
91 and 92 are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Again, we're still talking about St. Patrick's Day 2021. What time was this picture taken?
This was taken at 6:28 in the evening.
Okay. And again, is that time and date significant to you as an investigator in this case?
Yes, it is.
Why?
There was a time when Ethan was sending, the shooter was sending the text messages.
Okay. And this is also on Jennifer Crumbley's phone,
Correct.
91 and 92. '93 and 94.
We have no objection to 93 and 94.
93 and 94 are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Exhibit 93, also a picture captured on Jennifer Crumbley's phone. This is also St. Patrick's Day, 2021, and this is at 6:30 PM.
Correct.
Okay. Same location as the other photographs we just went through?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go back to exhibit 83. This has already been admitted. This is the phone log found on the shooter's phone. So the time we're speaking of, those text messages where he sent his mother indication that he was seeing bowls fly off the shelf from the demon, that was between 6:03 PM and 6:29 PM, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so we already saw that there was not a text back from Jennifer Crumbley, but tell us about the phone log, what did these show?
It shows a phone call from Jennifer Crumbley at 7:24 PM.
Okay, so that's about an hour and a half after he texted about the house being haunted,
That's correct.
and that was a 19-second call?
Correct.
Okay. Now I'm gonna move on to March the 19th, 2021. This is a Facebook conversation between James and Jennifer regarding their son that day. This is People's 95, I don't believe I have objection to this.
No, there is no objection.
95 is admitted.
Thank you. Okay. Again, Jennifer in blue, James in green.
Correct.
Okay. She said, "Is he awake?" And what did James respond?
James responds with, yeah.
Jennifer wrote, "How is he?"
James then responds with, he woke up looking like he had way, in all caps, W-A-Y, too much to drink last night, complaining about a headache.
Okay. And then her response as well, "He was really worked up and out of control, so I can see why." That's March 19th, 21 at 9:41 AM.
Correct.
About 48 seconds later, she wrote, "All I know is he needs to eat, go to work and work hard and not complain, and he can get his stuff back."
Correct.
And then March 19th later on, you responded, "I didn't get it." That's Jennifer Crumbley's words?
That's correct, yes.
Yes. Just you did have marked 95 down for admission, correct?
Yes, it's
Thank
admitted.
you. Okay, now the next day, March the 20th, did you find text messages from the school shooter to his mother, the defendant, of a concerning nature from that day?
Yes.
This is exhibit 96. I believe this was subject to a previous ruling.
No objection, aside from what was already noted.
No,
96 is admitted.
Thank you. But we're still on 95 on the slide. James wrote, Jesus, yes, he said, referring to their son, let me ask you a question. Why am I in your guys' room? LOL. And Jennifer's response is what?
OMG, oh my God.
Yeah.
Which exhibit is
I
this?
have to back up just a little bit,
Okay.
Josh. Sorry, thank you. So just to make sure everybody's on the same page, this is exhibit 95. This is from March 19th, 2021. We've already gone through these. At 9:41 a.m. when Jennifer wrote, he was really worked up and out of control. In the same text message conversation, there's no breaks in this exhibit. And the conversation continued. James wrote what?
I totally thought you were giving him a Xanax last night, ...
And Jennifer's response was,
Does he seem better?
and then
No melatonin.
James wrote what?
I know,
And Jennifer wrote,
but he hasn't had one before, so I should have only given him half.
and then James' response is, he was doing his school, says his head hurts. He took Tylenol.
Correct,
Okay, and Jennifer's response was, is he okay to work? That's at March 19th at 11 a.m.
correct,
And James's response,
was yeah,
and that's
Yeah.
also, it's 11:13 a.m.
correct,
Okay. And then Jennifer wrote 11:38 a.m. on March 19th. Does he remember what he did?
correct.
Okay, and what was James's response?
James responds with, dude, I am working on a demo right now. I have not talked to him and he is doing school.
And then her response is,
Okay then, geesh.
okay, thank you. And this is 96 that we just admitted. This is from March the 20th of 2021. And again, did you find text messages from the school shooter to the defendant of a concerning nature?
Correct,
Okay, in the blue, that's all the school shooter's words?
correct.
Okay, what did he write to her?
He starts with, I finished picking up the room that was at 2:38 on the 20th,
2:33?
2:33, I'm sorry,
Okay.
yes. He then says, I cleaned until the clothes started flying off the shelf.
And then what?
This stuff only happens when I'm home alone.
Okay, that's March 20th, 2021 at 2:34 p.m.
Correct,
And this is the same date and time.
yes it is.
And what did he write?
I picked the clothes back up though,
Okay, that's March 20th at 2:34.
correct.
And when was the next response to that?
By Jennifer was on the 22nd of March at 8:17 p.m.
So I'm going back to exhibit 83, which is the phone log found, recovered off the school shooter's phone, specific to these days. Okay, so we just went through March the 20th, and those messages were sent about 2:30 in the afternoon, if you recall, is that right?
Yes, sir?
Okay, and were there any phone calls in that time period?
No, there was not.
Okay. In fact, the next call was 6:37 p.m. on March the 20th.
Correct.
No objection. Oh, sorry, you can say the numbers and that's no objection.
97 and 98, Judge, I believe will be admitted.
We have no objection.
97 and 98 are admitted.
Thank you. So, sir, were you able to tell where James and Jennifer Crumbley were yet again on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is 97 and 98. 97 is the photograph, 98 the metadata. This is March 20th, 2021 at 1:51 p.m.
Correct.
Okay, if you recall, the text messages from the school shooter were sent to his mother about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Correct.
Okay, so tell us where Jennifer and James Crumbley were at this date and time.
They're riding the horses again.
'99 and 100
No objection.
Yeah, is it 99?
and 100.
No objection to either one?
No objection to either one.
99 and 100 are admitted.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, now this was taken off of the last picture. Was taken off of James Crumbley's phone, 97, 98.
That's correct.
99 and 100 were taken off of Jennifer Crumbley's phone.
Correct.
Okay, so the capture time here, March 20th, 2021, 11:58 a.m.
That's correct.
Okay, so then that would indicate to you that they were at the barn at least from that period of time until at least 1:51 p.m.
Correct.
Sir, during the course of your investigation, did you come to learn that the school shooter had only one friend?
Yes,
And did you also learn that that individual was abruptly taken from the state of Michigan about a month before the shooting occurred?
yes, he was.
And did you review the text message thread between the school shooter and that other individual?
Yes,
You've looked at the entirety of the phone of the school shooter as well as James and Jennifer Crumbley's phone, is that right?
that's correct.
If you could give us an idea, the volume of the data found in the text message thread between the school shooter and his friend.
There was over 20,000 text messages just between the two people. I've done exams on phones where the combined number of text messages isn't that much.
So what's the relative size and data between that particular text message thread and any other thread between the school shooter and anybody else?
I think the most text between any other person might have been near 500, just an individual person.
I'm going to show you a portion that's been previously admitted by this court of that text message thread from April the 4th of 2021, April the 5th of 2021. That's Exhibit 101.
And the court's previously ruled on this.
All right. 101's admitted.
Thank you, Judge. So we have names redacted. 101 was found on the shooter's phone, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so in this instance then, the green would be his words, the shooter's words.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Tell us what he wrote to his friend on April the 4th of 21.
The shooter wrote, like, I hear people talking to me and see someone in the distance. And I corrected the spelling of the word distance.
It's April 4th at 11:56.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
The shooter said, I actually asked my dad to take me to the doctor yesterday, but he just gave me some pills and told me to, quote, suck it up.
And then what?
He then says, like, it's at the point that I'm asking to go to the doctor. And then he says, my mom laughed when I told her.
So that's April 4th, 2021, 11:57 p.m. His words, my mom laughed when I told her.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, April the 5th at 12:06 a.m. So we were looking at a conversation right up until midnight, April the 4th, and now we're in the early morning hours of April the 5th. What did the shooter write?
Shooter wrote, but I'm having bad insomnia, RN for right now, and paranoia.
And then what?
He then says, I need help.
And the next slide, or the next text?
I was thinking, I calling 911 so I could go to the hospital.
And then there's a response from his friend on April the 5th
Correct.
at 12:12 a.m. And then what did the shooter write?
The shooter writes, but then my parents would be really pissed.
Now, April the 5th, 2021 at 12:38 a.m. What did the shooter write?
The shooter writes, I'm going to ask my parents to go to the doctors tomorrow or Tuesday again. Then he says, but this time I'm going to tell them about the voices.
Okay. Next text.
He then says, like I am mentally and physically dying.
Before we get to Exhibit 102, in the course of your forensic examination of James's phone, Jennifer's phone, and the school shooter's phone, you're able to look at certain apps that are installed. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And did you discover if an app called Life 360 was installed on Jennifer Crumbley's phone?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And what is Life 360?
Life 360, it's a tracking app that friends and family can install on their phone so they can know where they're at. I have it on my phone, and there's a family group, and my kids are on it, and I'm on it, my wife.
Did you find that app on James Crumbley's phone?
Yes, it was.
And through that app, you can see where someone's at and where they've been. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you look through the school shooter's phone as well, the defendant's son.
Correct.
Was that app installed on his phone?
No, it wasn't.
So it was just installed on James's phone and Jennifer's phone.
Correct, it was.
And that was on April the 5th of 2021.
I believe that's when it was installed, yes.
That's the same day as these text messages, like I am mentally and physically dying and asking to go to the doctor.
Correct.
Exhibits 102 and 103.
I'm sorry, are these, this is 102 and 103? We have no objection, sorry.
102 and 103 are admitted. I'm sorry, did you say that the date of the installation was April 5th? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
On the screen here, we can see the timestamp purchase date, April 5th, 2021. That's on Jennifer Crumbley's phone, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And exhibit 103 on James Crumbley's phone, we have April the 5th, 2021 as well.
Correct.
During the course of your evaluation of all the electronic information, digital evidence available to you, did you uncover evidence in the spring of 21 of Jennifer Crumbley talking to a friend about what she saw as depression in her son?
Yes.
And were you able to review a Facebook conversation between Jennifer Crumbley and actually the school shooter's only friend's mother?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm clear with you. In April of 2021, which is the same month of these text messages, Jennifer Crumbley texted her son's only friend's mother, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And in that conversation is when you uncovered concerning text messages as an investigator to this case.
Correct.
This is 104.
Thank you, and let me just take a quick look, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have no objection to this, thank you.
104 is admitted? It's just 104, right?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Okay, this is April 29, 2021. Now, this is from Jennifer Crumbley's search warrant return, correct?
That's correct.
So she's agreeing to these.
Correct.
All right. So what does she write?
She starts with, Ethan isn't bowling tonight, just want to let you know. Not sure if they need a partner or not.
Okay, and then her son's friend's mother, also named Jennifer, writes, is he feeling okay?
Correct.
And the defendant's response?
She responds back with, yesterday he wasn't, and he's been acting kind of depressed, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, this conversation continue?
Yes, it does.
What does the defendant write?
The defendant says, I'm not sure if there's something bothering at school. He really doesn't feel good. I can't get anything out of him.
Okay. And the person she's communicating with writes her son's name too. He stayed home from school today. The only time he's happy is when he's with the school shooter.
Correct.
And then her son has 2 E's and 2 D's. I'm wondering if he's worried about that. That's the other individual worried about her own son.
Correct.
Okay. That's 5:24 p.m. on April the 29th.
That's correct.
The conversation continues. What does the defendant write?
Defendant says, yeah, this is all new to me. I'm not used to Ethan being moody. He's usually pretty happy, and we'll talk about anything. I do know Ethan's been stressed about school and his grades. We called the school, but she wasn't in. Social, do it tomorrow. I think his grades have a lot to do with it. He just got to a point where he got so far behind, we were out of town. He's having difficult time making it up.
And then the other individual writes, I'm sorry, her son's struggling too. To be honest, I'm sick of fighting with him about it. Stupid online school really messed him up. I'm thankful her son has the shooter as a friend. They laugh and have a great time together. That's April 29th at 5:31 p.m.
That's correct.
Okay. And then what does Jennifer respond?
Jennifer responds with, yeah, me too. I'm just glad they're still getting along. And it wasn't an issue with those two as to why he was being depressed. The online school is horrible. I've given up too. I just told him to do the best. Don't worry about it. Next year is a new year.
Okay, and then what's the next text?
She says, maybe if, referring to the shooter's friend, feeling better, if he wants to come over after work on Saturday, he can take him up to go bowling and make up their scores. he's more than welcome to stay the night and go to work in the morning. We set up a little shooting range in the backyard for Ethan's BB gun. They could do that.
Okay, and the response was her son's been excited to shoot.
Correct.
Okay, and that was April 29, 2021?
Yes,
Okay, now, around this time frame in the text message conversation and the videos on the school shooter's phone, did you discover extremely disturbing information?
yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm not asking you to go into detail, but as an investigator, it was important to you.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and in fact, it was in the days after these messages were sent.
Yes, it was.
And the school shooter shared that with his friend, his only friend he had.
That's correct.
And you mentioned that his only friend was taken out of the state,
Correct.
and it seemed to be without notice to the school shooter.
Correct.
Okay. Did you uncover evidence that either James or Jennifer Crumbley commented on the fact that his only son was taken, or his only friend was taken out of the state?
Yes.
This is exhibit 105.
Yes, I have no objection to 105, thank you.
105 is admitted.
And you said that was around about a month before the shooting at Oxford High School?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So this is from Jennifer Crumbley's Facebook, again, to the mother of her son's only friend.
Correct.
Okay, and this is October 31st, 2021, 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, and what does she write?
Jennifer writes, James filled me in on Ethan's friends last night. I'm so sorry you guys are having to make such a hard decision. Please let me know if you need anything.
Okay, and then November the 3rd, she wrote what?
She says, how are you guys all doing? Been thinking of all of you a lot.
Okay. And you know from your investigation, this is the time frame when the shooter's friend was taken out of the state.
That is correct.
Okay, in this conversation, November the 4th, that other individual writes what to Jennifer Crumbley?
She writes, hi, Jen. We're doing okay. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I worry about him constantly and miss him terribly. I know that he's where he needs to be to get better, though. Thanks so much for checking on us. I appreciate you and your family. She's referring to her son, the shooter's friend, was only happy and relaxed with you guys.
And in response,
Jennifer responds with, please keep us updated. I know Ethan misses him. If you guys need anything at all, please don't hesitate to ask.
and that was, again, in November of 2021 before the shooting.
Correct, on the 4th, yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to direct your attention to the days around the shooting and what you were able to obtain as far as a digital footprint of the Crumbley family.
Okay.
Starting November 26, 2021, is that date significant to you?
Yes, it is.
Why is that?
That was the day the gun was purchased.
And we heard yesterday that the gun is in the murder weapon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was a 9mm Sig Sauer handgun?
Yes, it was.
Okay. That's been admitted in evidence, and we heard it was bought from a firearm store in Oxford.
That's correct.
Okay. This is 106?
I have no objection to this one.
Okay, 106 is admitted.
Okay. This is just as an example, what information you can obtain from a search warrant on a Gmail account.
That's correct.
Okay. And so this is from James Crumbley's Gmail account, November 26, 2021, confirming that he was in fact at that firearm store at 12:08 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. Now, we talked about obtaining locations from somebody. This is 107.
We have no objection.
107 is admitted.
But before we get into 107, Exhibit 417, it's a video. Sir, in your analysis of the shooter's phone and Jennifer Crumbley's phone, social media accounts, you were able to obtain videos taken by the school shooter with that handgun, the murder weapon?
That's correct.
Okay. So 417 people moved to admit and publish to the jury. It's a video taken from November 26, 2021.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, I have to just take a look really quick, because we
Okay.
just jumped ahead like a
Yeah,
couple.
it's 417.
Yeah, let me just take a quick look, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right, there's a lot of.
And actually, I don't have 417 in the exhibits that I was given. Can I see? It wasn't on my hard drive that I was given. Okay, Your Honor, I have no way to play this and I don't have this.
All these
Can I
is-
just have,
I don't know what
It's a
it
very
is.
short video.
it's not on our, I just need to see what the video is. Can we just unplug the computer and can you just show it to me really quick?
Is there audio?
No.
Was it provided to the defense?
Yes.
It's,
It was shown at the preliminary examination as well.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, it's not on the exhibits they gave me on the desk. So there's a million videos in this case and I have no idea which video it is.
Okay.
I probably have no objection. Can I just see what video it is?
Sure. Well, I guess I thought for a moment when he said it was played at the preliminary examination, it might refresh your recollection about what it was, but if you can, take a quick look, that'd be great.
I don't have a flash drive player on here, so can we just turn the screen off for 1 second and just take a quick look?
Yeah.
And I apologize, I
No, it's okay, there's a lot of stuff. I don't want to release the jury because their lunch is not made. I haven't made your lunch.
oh, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm having lobster today.
Okay, and so this is 417,
417.
okay. Okay, we have no objection to this one, and I apologize,
No, it's all
I
right.
just
It's all
didn't
right.
have it.
No, I
Thank
get
you.
it. I get it. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Okay, so 417 is admitted.
Okay. May I, Judge?
Sure.
Thank you. Now, this is what you obtained from the shooter's phone, and it was captured 6:39 p.m. on November the 26th, 2021?
That's correct.
Okay. So that video was taken the evening the firearm was purchased,
Correct.
and that is in fact the murder weapon, the 6-hour 9mm?
Yes, sir.
I have no objection to those.
What number is it?
107 and 108, Judge?
107 was previously admitted, 108 is admitted.
Okay, now, Agent Brandon testified yesterday to much about the evidence regarding the firearm, so I'm gonna move you ahead to November 27th, which is the next day, the day after the 6-hour was purchased.
Okay.
All right. So. All right, 107. This is evidence obtained from James Crumbley's Gmail account, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you were able to tell what James Crumbley was doing from 8 a.m. to 8:59 p.m. on November 27th, 2021.
Correct.
Okay, and tell us what was he doing?
He was delivering DoorDash.
So these dots, these data points are what? What do they signify?
Those are the GPS locations that were provided when the location services was turned on from Google.
So we know he was out of the house basically the whole day.
Correct.
Okay. Now, 108, we have Jennifer Crumbley's Gmail data points, and from what time period?
That's from 2:29 p.m. to 3:32 p.m.
Okay, and this is exhibit 108. It shows she's out of the house from about 2:30 to 3:30. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next day is Sunday, November the 28th, 2021. Could you get a feel for what Jennifer Crumbley was discussing, based upon her Facebook messages, what her plan was doing on November the 28th, 2021.
Yes,
Okay. And in fact, you recovered chat history with an individual named Kira Pennick.
that's correct.
Okay. And through the course of this investigation, did you come to learn who that person was?
Yes, I did.
And who is that?
She was the owner of the horse farm.
Okay. That's the horse farm where Jennifer and James Crumbley would board their horses.
Correct.
She's going to testify later on in this trial, but you reviewed their Facebook chat history.
Correct.
So that's 109. People don't know that 109.
Your Honor, can I just have one moment? This is a,
It says it's a thread between your client and Kira Pennick on November 28th. That's what it purports to be.
okay, and the exhibit that I received from the prosecution is 967 pages long. So I'm thinking that what I got is not
It's
what,
pages 930 to 933. We're not going to go through 1,000 pages.
well, no, I'm
Well,
just,
let's do it.
okay, I'm sorry. So what pages are they admitting as these?
930 to 933.
Okay, 9:30 to, okay, give me just a moment. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I got the whole file, like,
It's on the exhibit list. with
Yeah,
what pages.
if the exhibit list indicates, this exhibit list is what I got on Tuesday. I'm not sure when it was shared with the defense, if it was the same day or not, but it says pages 930 to 933 are the only ones they're seeking to highlight.
I know, I'm just scrolling.
Okay,
It's
go ahead.
it's just taking me a little bit to scroll
Okay.
through. Ooh, sorry. I can't see the pages on this. I need to use my computer. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to 900. It just takes a little bit to load because it's such a big file. Okay, so it's pages 901 to,
930 to 933.
Exactly
Sorry.
what was written on the exhibit list.
and I'm trying to get to the pages. The file they gave me is much larger than 3 pages.
Okay. The exhibit
On
list-
every other exhibit, they have narrowed it down, and this one is much bigger. I just need a
Okay,
moment.
you're good. The exhibit list says the pages that they're.
I know, but I can't pull it up fast enough because my computer's, I'm trying to go as fast as I can.
Okay.
Okay, I have no objection to this.
Okay, thank you. 109 is admitted.
Thank you. And this is a portion of exhibit 109. Okay, so green is who?
It's Jennifer.
Okay, and what's she writing?
Was his front swollen again?
Okay, and then the response?
That is from Kira Pennick. Right, I'm the same. I'm not sure. I'm not doing chores, but I'll ask my dad when I see him.
Okay, so did you come to learn when Jennifer writes, "Was his foot swollen again?" She's referring to one of her horses.
Correct, yes.
And Kira's response?
If Billy keeps stocking up, I think you should have the vet out for him. Just want to make sure it isn't anything serious.
And Billy's who?
The horse.
And Jennifer's response?
He's got mid fever. James is coming out in the morning to put some stuff on him and calling vet for antibiotics. Then she corrects with mud.
Okay. Billy's one horse and they have 2 horses at this point, right?
Correct.
And then what does Kira say?
Kira, then that's crazy. Never seen it react like that. Want me to just put stuff on it daily? I can. I didn't do chores this weekend, so don't know if it got done.
So the last message in this exhibit from Jennifer Crumbley to the individual who boards those 2 horses is November 28th, 2021. That's Sunday, 8:18 p.m., Sunday night.
Correct.
And she writes, "Yes, let's do Tuesday. I'll have James leave the mixture out there. I don't think he's sore from the ground. He's just fine lunging. Just need to keep moisture off his scratches and get him on antibiotics. Should be clear in a week."
That's correct.
And that's again in reference to one of our horses.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, did Jennifer go to the barn that day?
Yes.
When you say that day, you mean the 28th?
Yes, thank you, Judge. This is 110, 111.
No objection to those.
110 and 111 are admitted.
Thank you. 1:10, this is from her Gmail search warrant return. We can tell that she's at the barn at noon on November 28th.
That's correct.
Okay, and she's back at home. This is exhibit 111 at about 2 o'clock.
Correct.
All right. Now moving on to Monday, November the 29th. That's the day before the shooting, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what's the first thing that you see of importance to you as a forensic investigator from the day before the shooting that occurred on one of her devices?
It was a web history search or a web search.
This is exhibit 113.
We have no objection. I just want to make sure, I'm sorry, 112 was admitted.
No, 112 was not omitted. That's
Yeah, 112 was not admitted, yes.
Okay, so 113, we have no objection, thank you.
113 is admitted.
Thank you. Okay, 113. This is a snippet from a Cellbrite extraction report of Jennifer Crumbley's web history.
That's correct.
Okay. So tell us, please, what was she researching November 29th, 2021 at 3:05 in the morning?
In the second column, you can see where it says research clinical depression treatment options. There's Yahoo search that was used.
Okay.
In the third column, you can see exactly that's what was in the URL bar, the web address bar. That you typed
And that's the day before the shooting in the early morning hours?
at 3:05 a.m.
All right, now let's talk about the Facebook conversation between James and Jennifer from later that day, Monday the 29th. This is 114.
I'm sorry. I have no objection.
114 is admitted.
Thank you. Okay. November the 29th, 2021, 8 a.m. Jennifer writes to James, "Are you at the barn?" And then about 40 minutes later, she sends a question mark. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then James responds to what?
He responds starting with a question mark, working on Billy.
Okay. So it appears, at least from this message thread, that he's at the barn with their horse Billy.
That's correct.
And then he sent a picture.
That's correct.
Can you tell what that's of?
It's horse's legs, it appears.
Okay. And what does Jennifer respond to that picture?
Do the fronts too.
Okay, this is 9:21 a.m. What does Jennifer say?
Jennifer asked, did you call the vet?
And then what?
Make sure you get back in between his heel bulbs.
Okay, and James's response to that?
He responds with, I did, and then fronts too.
And that's at 9:34 a.m. on November the 29th.
That's correct.
At 9:35, what does James say?
He texts, what exactly should I tell vet? Type out for me, leaving barn now.
Okay, and then Jennifer responds, Billy looks to have scratches / mud fever. He's starting to stock up on all fours and concerned about infection. He's not lame, sensitive to the touch, and they go down when he moves. Is there an antibiotic I can get him on? We just put Desinfectant and antibacterial on his legs today. That's November 29th, 9:41 a.m. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then she sends a message to him.
Correct.
And what does she say?
She says, was he stocked up this morning?
And then James's response?
James responds with, he was stocked up more in the back than in the front. In fact, the front didn't really look stocked up at all. So I launched them for a few minutes before I put the stuff on it. And it took the swelling down a little bit, but I got the cream all over, in between his heel bulbs and stuff like that. I'll call the vet here in a minute.
Okay. Now, sir, it's been a little tedious going through all of the messages regarding the horses. Give us an idea, because you're the one who actually extracted that information from Facebook. You reviewed it. How often will they show concern over their horses?
Quite often.
Okay, and Jennifer's response, this is the same conversation, November 29th at 9:58 a.m.
She responds with, it made sense, LOL.
Okay, and then James responds more about the horse, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And Jennifer responds to that message,
Yes, she did.
and that's at 10:15 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. Now, this same day, same time period, did you uncover evidence that someone from Oxford High School left a message for Jennifer Crumbley?
That, yes, correct.
Okay, and in fact, that was, at 9:41 a.m.
That's correct.
Okay, so that was in the midst of the Facebook conversation between James and Jennifer about their horse.
Correct.
Okay. And were you able to obtain that voicemail from Jennifer Crumbley's phone records?
Yes.
People move to admit 115.
No objection, Your Honor.
115 is admitted.
Thank you.
Hi, Crumbley. My name's Pam Fine. I'm calling from Oxford High School, and I'm here with Ethan, who's the counselor. I was just calling to let you know that we just spoke with Ethan, had really nice conversation. One of the teachers had sent an email to the office. She was concerned that Ethan, when she was walking around the room checking assignments, that he was on his phone looking at bullets and that sort of thing. So she just wanted to have a conversation. We did. We said he said the shooting range with you this weekend, and we were like, yep. Guns are a hobby for a lot of people, and shooting ranges, and that's perfectly normal. And that we just wanted to make sure I had a conversation with him about the things he searches at school, and things versus searching at home, like, you know, can give a good example of like if the teacher makes beer at home, perfectly normal and healthy, but you know, using searches for making beer at school. So we had a conversation. He was great. He was like, yep, I get it. So I just wanted to let you know that we did have that conversation with him, and about 5 minutes, and he was like, wow. All right, if you have any questions, you can give me a call. Otherwise, have a great holiday. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, that was the day before the shooting at 9:41 a.m.
Correct.
Okay, did Jennifer Crumbley access that voicemail?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, this is exhibit 116.
We have no objection.
116 is admitted.
Thank you, Joe. And according to your analysis, she accessed the voicemail at 11:49 a.m.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's still in the midst of the conversation she was having with James about their horse.
Correct.
Did you uncover evidence that Jennifer Crumbley texted her son about that voicemail?
Yes.
Okay. This is exhibit 117.
I have no objection.
117 is admitted.
Okay. Now, owner, Green, this is Jennifer because it's from her phone, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and in fact, you were able to take the whole text message conversation that existed between between Jennifer Crumbley and her son. Is that right? And if it were to be printed out, it'd be over 200 pages or so, is that right?
Sounds about right, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you portions from November 29th and we'll refer back to this. So November 29th at 11:53 a.m., this is a few minutes after she listened to the voicemail. What did she write to her son?
She says, seriously, 2 question marks, looking at bullets in school, question mark, question mark.
And he writes back, what? And then, oh yeah?
Correct.
And then he wrote what?
I already went to the office for that. It was in first hour. All I did was look up a certain caliber at the end of class because I was curious. It was on my phone.
Okay, that's 11:53 a.m., November 29th.
11:54.
11:54, thank you. And then what did he write?
Completely harmless. Teachers just have no privacy. They said, I'm all good.
Okay. And then the next message?
The shooter continues, I understood why. They talked to me and they said, I'm good.
Okay, then he wrote, this is nothing I should get into trouble. This is nothing I should get in trouble about. He
Correct.
wrote that to the defendant at 11:55 a.m.
That's correct.
And what was her response to that?
You're not. They left me a voicemail with a hand over face emoji twice.
Okay. And then what did she say?
She then says, did you at least show them a pic of your new gun?
So she wrote at 12:14 p.m., did you at least show them a pic of your new gun?
Correct.
And his response?
No, I didn't show them the pic. My God.
And then what?
I only told them I went to the range with you on Saturday.
Okay. It was, I only told them I went to the range with you on Saturday.
Correct.
Okay. And then what did he say?
It was a harmless act.
Go ahead.
I have this bullet cartridge in my room that I didn't, what kind of bullet it was, and it said it was a 22. So at the end of first hour, I just looked up different types of 22 bullets. And I guess the teachers can't get their eyes off my screen, SMH.
And then what did Jennifer respond to that?
She responds with, LOL, I'm period, not mad. You're not, you have to learn, not period, to period, get caught, period.
And his response to that?
IK or I know, LOL.
And then?
2 laughing emojis. And then he responds with, I just didn't want something this little to get me in trouble because, well, I didn't want to get in trouble, LOL.
Okay, and then what do you write?
The shooter says, I want to hear the voicemail when I get home though. Also, I never tried to hide me looking up the bullet. I just didn't think a teacher would be staring at my phone.
And then what did she say, the defendant?
She says, okay, I saved it.
Sir, did you find evidence that Jennifer discussed this incident with her husband, James, that day?
Yes.
This is 118.
Thank you, no objection to 118.
118 is admitted.
This is a Facebook message between James and Jennifer Crumbley.
Correct.
Okay. And then Jennifer's now in blue.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And what did she write?
She writes, Ethan, tell you what happened today.
And his response?
James' response was, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no further discussion between the two of them on Facebook Messenger.
No, there is not.
Now, sir, I want to take you back to the day of the shooting, November the 30th, 2021. And what we'll do is go step by step with what you were able to discern from your available sources of information.
Okay.
All right. Exhibit 119. Well, first of all, we already talked about how you were the individual who went through all the surveillance video.
Correct.
And it was your responsibility to put together that timeline.
Correct.
And did you also put together the timeline when the school shooter was dropped off at school?
Yes,
Okay. And he was dropped off at 7:46 a.m. on November the 30th?
that's correct.
Any objection to this?
No objection.
119 is admitted.
Do you see him being dropped off?
Yes. It's him with the gray hoodie and had a black t-shirt on.
Right there?
Correct.
Judge, in looking at the time, this might be a good time to break for lunch, given the fact that we're starting to go through the evidence from the day of the shooting.
If your lunch is ready,
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
just because this is now that's a transition.
Oh, okay, all right. Your lunch is here, so, I want to let you know that because you're on the stand right now, you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone until you're finished testifying, okay?
Lance?
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I apologize. I apologize.
I didn't
Yes,
mean to
ma'am.
wake you up.
No, I'm awake, Anthony. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
all right.
I was thinking.
We're in the middle, don't do that. We're in the middle of your testimony, so you can't discuss your testimony with the other side.
But
Okay,
you can't
step
eat
down.
lunch.
You can eat lunch, you can eat lunch, just can't eat off that pace, all right? So you can step down, all right? So, can we come back at quarter to one? That's enough time, right? So your lunch is ready and in the table, okay?
All right, for the jury.
No, it's all right, it's all right. I like the jury to know that I'm telling you that, so they understand that. Okay, they can take her down, there's